Hello, and welcome to another edition of Your County at Work, the show that brings you to the front lines of hardworking men and women of Newcastle County government. Today, I'm happy to tell you that Deputy Chief of Police Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Jamison and Police Captain Quentin Watson for Newcastle County are here in the NCCPD studio today to talk about the latest happenings in their office. Thank you for being here, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
How you both doing today?
Good.
Good. Well. It's a beautiful day in Newcastle County government, correct?
Yes.
It is.
You would agree?
I would agree.
You would agree, okay. So would you be kind and tell us how long you've been here, your position, and a little bit about what you do, and then we'll go over.
Certainly. My rank is Lieutenant Colonel. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police for Newcastle County. I've been here for about 31 and a half years, and right now I'm the natural second in command in the agency. In the absence of the Colonel, I'm the Acting Chief of Police and oversee the day-to-day operations of the police department.
Okay, and how long ago were you promoted into that position?
I was promoted in April.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And if you would be kind and tell the viewing audience your position and what you do.
I'm a captain with Newcastle County Police Department, and currently I oversee the Special Operations section of the department. The groups that come under the Special Operations section are the SWAT team, Crisis Negotiation Team, we have our Community Services Unit, we have our Mobile Enforcement Team, and we have our Mounted Patrol Unit. And so I get a chance to actually work with a part of the administrative side of the building and also the operations side of the building. And so that's basically what I do.
Okay, so when you say SWAT, is it like you see on television where you have your men in their black outfits with SWAT written across their chest and they're breaking into houses and all of that? Is that what the SWAT team does?
Yeah, in a sense, that's what they do. They mitigate a lot of our crisis situations, and obviously they are the 911 of the police department in emergency crisis situations.
Okay, all right. And your job, are you basically, do you go out in the field and assist, or are you in-house? Exactly what do you do?
For the most part, I'm in-house and handle a lot of the administrative functions, although I have oversight of the operational sections, such as those that Captain Watson described. My job is pretty much, it's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of meetings, but I do get out once in a while. In former assignments, such as patrol captain, I spent a good deal of time on the road. And the captain and I have shared some of the same responsibilities through the years. He's taken over different positions after I left him, and vice versa.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Someone from their home dials 911. What happens?
Well, the call is basically triaged into our emergency communication center, our 911 center. And from there, they farm it to the appropriate parties for it to be handled, whether it's for the fire board for a medical emergency or to the police department of jurisdiction. And that's the way it's addressed. Okay.
So let's say it is for, it's a police call. So what happens next? We need a Newcastle County police officer. So dispatch calls.
The call taker takes the call and they send it to dispatch immediately. And then the call is dispatched to one of our officers. A lot of it that you're used to seeing on TV where it's verbal, now they're able to do that over the laptop computers, so the officers get the information quicker and they can assess the situation before they even start en route to the complaint.
Okay. All right. So, okay, let's talk about technology. I'm sure over the course of the years, technology has changed in Newcastle County Police Department. So what, other than the laptops, what are some other devices that have changed over the years?
I'll take a stab at that
one.
For Captain Watson and I are the most tenured police officers on the executive staff of the police department, and he can tell you also that every tool on our belt has changed, some several times over the years.
Okay.
From the handguns to the defensive weapons to everything we use. And then, of course, now we started with pen and paper.
Yeah.
And now we have laptop computers and printers. The traffic citations, the warnings, all the police reports, all that's computerized now, so technology plays a huge part. And as far as the officers in the field, they're able to use technology to see crime trends and to give the most appropriate service to the citizens.
Okay, all right. And let's talk about TAPS. I know every Tuesday we have TAPS, so which one can explain what TAPS stand for and exactly what TAPS represents?
Well, I'll talk about TAPS, and then I'll let the captain speak about the Property Crime Initiative. Early into his tenure as Chief of Police, Colonel Setting quickly tasked our crime analysis section to look at all crime throughout Newcastle County and to focus on quality of life issues. And by doing so, by grabbing the low-hanging fruit, you know, the disorderly subjects on the corner, the speeders in the communities, we were able to grab a lot of people who were trafficking in drugs, who were committing other crimes or would have otherwise committed other crimes had we not intervened early. And through the targeted analytic policing system, we've been able to realize double-digit reductions in basically all our crime categories. And at the same time, the officer's self-initiated activity has increased dramatically. Now we have a meeting of the targeted analytic policing system every Tuesday morning, and we're able to get a handle on where we stand. We compare it to the same time period a year ago, the same time period 2 years ago. And then early in 2014, we realized that the piece that was missing from that was property crime. Property crime was still very high. Burglaries to residences, thefts from motor vehicles, crimes of that type were still plaguing our communities. And so the Colonel, he had us direct more emphasis towards the Property Crime Initiative, and I'll let the Captain speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the Colonel actually, this is something that's groundbreaking that no other police department in the tri-state area or around the country had taken on, because in the grander scheme of things, your violent crimes are always the crimes that get a lot of attention, and sometimes property crimes seem to be in the back. But they matter the most a lot of times to people. When you take people's property from them, it may not be a big monetary value to the property that was taken. The sentimental value is what's important. A brooch that was handed down from generation to generations may not have a value to anyone else, but to me, it's a family treasure that I want to pass on. And so things like that, we decided to actually make more of a push to try to solve more property crimes. What the Colonel did was he actually put 2 sets of officers on the street. Now, we took this from the patrol section, and what he did was he actually had officers trained up as property crime specialists that would actually, for the most part, when they're out there on the streets patrolling, if there's a burglary that's called and a theft, these are the officers that would actually get dispatched to those type of complaints, so that they would actually see it from the beginning and try to take it through all the way to its conclusion. Not stopping there, he decided also to now put evidence detection specialists on the street. And we have an evidence detection unit. It's a small unit that primarily works with the criminal investigation units or come out and process bigger crime scenes. But now taking a group of trained officers that are on the street to now go out, and if we have a burglary, for those guys to get called to a residence and to actually process the residence. You're keeping the officers on the street motivated because you're giving them something else to do other than just going after and handling complaints. Now they get to have that specialist behind their name. And what has happened over time is we've actually decreased and solved more cases and decreased property crime in Newcastle County. And like I said, that's something that you won't find another police department in the state of Delaware that's actually taken the initiative to actually take officers off of primarily responding to complaints and to actually make them specialists where they actually zero in on either evidence collection or property crime investigation.
Okay. I know in speaking with the Colonel, one of the most important things to him is that our police officer respect those who are in the community. So let's talk about like sensitivity training and things of that sort. I know we won't, I've never heard of any Newcastle County police officer getting in any trouble whatsoever like you see in other states that's been going on. So let's talk about that a little.
Well, you're right. Respect is absolutely at the forefront in policing, and it pays dividends all the way down the line. We've seen situations, like you mentioned, throughout the country where there's distrust of the police department. They're disconnected from the community, and we've made an effort under Colonel Setting's leadership to be very transparent and to be open. And we know that we're a full-service agency. We respond to all different kind of complaints. We deal with people who are in crisis, and we have to be ready for that. Occasionally there are complaints against officers, but one of the things that I myself found as patrol captain, there are a lot more compliments of our officers than there are complaints. And to try to just get ahead of this, the other thing that we do a citizens satisfaction survey. We do quality control reports where we'll have a supervisor contact the victim of a crime or witness to a crime and to just see what they thought of the officer and their performance and if they were professional and that sort of thing. So respect, as you say, and being a part of the community and not an outside entity is absolutely at the forefront, and that's one of the things that the Colonel has emphasized during his tenure.
Okay.
And if I can add, you know, the Community Services Unit comes under my command. And so one of the things we continue to do, and it was before the last few years when you've seen the police brutality, police misconduct, we were always on a steady keel with trying to be connected with our community. So it's nothing, we're not doing, you know, people say, well, what are you doing different now? No, we're just doing the same thing now. And what you're seeing is the results of us not being in the news like that because of the fact that we keep stressing to our officers that this is a service-oriented police department. So that means that you are providing a service to the citizens. And always remember that it's not about you, it's about the people that you're policing, the people that you're providing services to. And each time, every year, we have to, as a police department, figuratively take our finger and put it on our neck to check the pulse of the community. Because when we start to distance ourselves away from the community and stop wondering what they need or if we're meeting their needs, then there's where the disconnect comes. And so one of the things we instituted, we stopped doing back in 2008, but we actually did it just several months ago as we started a Citizen Police Academy again. And all the great reviews we've gotten from that, it was right on time because now people get an opportunity to come to the academy, they get an opportunity to understand how we do what we do. And most of the conflict between citizens and police officers is a misunderstanding. They don't know why we do what we do. They don't know why, for instance, when we walk up to a car stop, we may have our hand on a gun, on a holster, not out, but just over there, because we teach our officers in the academy that the vast majority of officers that get killed, they get killed on car stops. And a lot of times, it's their first approach up to the car is when things go wrong. And so we teach officers to be a certain way and approach a car a certain way. But to a person in the car, that may be very offensive to see you walking up on me and all I did was speeding and you got your hand on your gun. That's very intimidating to me. So we have to be able to speak to people and let them understand why we do what we do. And so the more that the citizens can understand what we do, the better it's going to build our relationship with the community.
One of the things, and I'm sure it is very important, on television you always see like the first 48 hours are the very important hours in solving a crime. Let's talk about the importance of the community also helping you all with the things that you need to solve crimes. Because I know a lot of times people may, and families and loved ones and will feel like, okay, you all aren't doing what you need to do, but sometimes I'm sure you need more help from others in solving crimes. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. We need the community's help in order to do our jobs the most efficiently we can. We need people to be good witnesses. We need people to interact with police officers, and we need our officers to in turn interact with the community. I mean, that's at the core of community policing, something that was introduced by our then Colonel Gordon, who's now our county executive, and that was, you know, in the late 1980s. And we've followed suit, and we've upgraded, you know, on some of those principles, and we've added some new things, and kind of tweaked it a little bit, but the community's help is absolutely essential for us to be effective.
I mean, I can only concur with what the Colonel said. The vast majority of the time when police officers arrive to a complaint or a scene of a crime, it's happened and the police officer was not there. So think about it as a jigsaw puzzle that you break the pieces up and turn it upside down. Now when we get there, you're asking us now to flip the puzzle pieces over and actually put it together. We can't do it alone. If we weren't there when it happened, we're going to need people that were there, people that may have saw something. It goes back again to the relationship that you have with the community. If you have a relationship with the community that they don't trust you, they don't like you, they won't talk to you. And so it's so important that it works hand in hand that we keep a good relationship with the community so that when we have crimes and stuff that happen in neighborhoods, that we can go to the community, ask for some help. And there's a lot of different ways that you can provide information to us if you're worrying about whether it's going to come back on you or not. You can always call the non-emergency number. You can leave suspect information. What they will ask you is, do you want to leave your name? Quite simply, you can say, no, I just want to provide some information. You can hang the phone up. That information is important to us because we may have had little pieces to this puzzle to try to put this case together, but that one phone call that came in and says, wait a minute, we had a phone call that came from somewhere that says that this colored car was in the area, and now didn't we have another report that the car? So sometimes people think that what I have to provide may not be anything, but I would tell people that go ahead and just call and give us the information. You don't know all the pieces that we're working with, and that little bit of information may have now tied this case together. So definitely, there's more people in the United States than there are police officers. And so with that in mind, you know that we can't be everywhere all the time, so we rely heavily on the cooperation of the community.
Okay. Before we end our segment, is there anything else that you want us to talk about that our viewing audience should know about?
Well, I just want to say that August, we will start to put out our publication with regards to our next Citizens Police Academy. Okay. We intend on starting the academy in September, so I would, if anyone is interested in attending the Citizens Police Academy, start looking on our website and we'll put out a news release. We'll start taking applications sometime in August. We'll make the decisions on the selections, and then we'll start the academy in September.
Okay, I'm sure we'll definitely have you back on prior to that as well.
No problem.
And the one thing I would mention to kind of segue from the Citizens Police Academy, we have a regular police academy for police applicants that's in session now. It began in June, and we anticipate a graduation date in mid-November. Recruiting is an ongoing process, and we pride ourselves on being a very diverse agency. I would anticipate that we'll have another class early in 2016. So anyone in the viewing audience interested in a career in policing, please check our website. There's a lot of information there, the requirements, what you can expect of a career in policing, how to arrange for a ride-along, those types of things. So we are recruiting on an ongoing basis and seeking the very best candidates for careers in policing.
Okay. Now, both of you talking about that just gave me one more thing to talk about, and I know that it's really important to the county executive, and that's diversity. Mm-hmm. So the police have a very diverse group of people that work there.
And we're constantly looking for more diverse people, because the more diverse your police department is, the better it helps in us understanding all the cultures that we are policing. Mm-hmm. We can't have one race or sex of a police department, because that would alienate us and not make us understand other segments of society. So we try to be as diverse as possible, and we want diversity because it makes, and we learn something from people that are on the department that are from diverse backgrounds, because they educate everyone about different cultures and stuff.
All right, okay, all right. Lieutenant Colonel, you talked about the county executive at one time being the colonel.
Yes.
And then we also have Director Joseph Bryan, who the three of them, Colonel Settings, yourself, the county exec, well, I guess starting with the county exec and then making our way down. Let's talk about the importance of them understanding one another. So if the county exec comes up with something that he wants to do, it seems to me like Colonel Settings would really understand it, because the county exec has been there before. And let's talk about that a little.
The county executive was our chief of police, and he has a very vast understanding of law enforcement, and he's been extremely supportive of all of public safety and the police department in particular. And we have benefited from his leadership, as well as our director of public safety, Joseph Bryant Jr. is a retired major from the police department and a former colonel of the Delaware River and Bay Authority. So both of these gentlemen actively campaign for public safety, and law enforcement being a big part of that. So they're big proponents of the Newcastle County Police Department and very supportive of all our efforts.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, in some cases, if you look at it, it's very rare to have a county executive that was a former police chief, but then also to have a public safety director that was a senior executive officer in the police department and a chief of police with the Delaware River and Bay Authority. It makes it much easier for us. They get it, as opposed to if you have a civilian that gets elected, never had any experience in law enforcement, and then it's a big educational thing to educate the new county executive that doesn't have any law enforcement experience on what we do, what we're trying to do, how we're trying to impact things. And so for us, it's a win-win situation. It's not always that way around the country, but we're definitely reaping the benefits because of that.
And I'm thinking not only, I mean, do you all benefit from it, but those of us who live in Newcastle County definitely
Yes.
benefit from them all coming together on our behalf.
Yep.
All
Absolutely.
right. Thank you, gentlemen, so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to a conclusion of another episode of Your County at Work. I hope you learned something today. Please keep in tune to NCCTV to learn more about your local government, Newcastle County. For County Executive Tom Gordon, Executive Producer Jill McDonald, Director Tony Prado, and NCC crew members Josue Ortega, Steve Berg, Lisa Lancaster, and Rob Paolo, thank you for watching. This is Wayna Dobson signing off until next time.